What's up, y'all? Welcome to Vancity Beats, Eats, and More! Season 2, y'all. My name is Cazi. I'm joined today by my good friend Jeffrey, aka DJ Big Poppa Pump. And we out here on the unceded stolen lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, what y'all know colonially as Vancouver, BC, and what we've co-opted and call Vancity. So if this is your first time joining us on the show, you would not know that we actually cover the music, the food, and art scene of our vibrant city. And for this season of season 2, we decided we'd want to try something a little different, where we're actually going to have our guest on our show, and we're going to cook up something. So today, what are we cooking up, Jeff?
Today we're going to make some lemongrass chicken banh mi.
Banh mi sandwiches. And so if y'all kind of recognize this beautiful face over here, you might recognize Jeff from DJing a lot of the different parties. He also has a radio show called Check the Vibe on bside.radio. And he also DJ'd at our season 1 rap party that happened at Didi Mao restaurant. Jeff is beloved amongst our street dance community, our music community, and he's also a chef in the kitchen with mad skills. So I thought for our premiere of season 2 that we should cook something that he really loves to make, that we all obviously love to eat. And so yeah, we're gonna make some lemongrass banh mi sandwiches. Jeff, how should we start?
We got here a little bit early.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Really early. We were nervous. We were like, this is our first time doing this.
Yeah. So I already have the chicken marinating. I'll get into more of that a little bit later.
Hold on 1 sec.
There you go. Something up.
Can't have the dumpster, man.
Yes.
It's Monday. Yeah.
So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start off making the mayo. It is mayo. So this is pretty essential when it comes to making banh mi. So you're gonna have mayos and butters and stuff like that. This is gonna.
We're going to use an emulsifier.
So this is an immersion blender.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually a really easy way of making mayo. A lot of people, they know it, like you have stuff in a bowl and then you just got to like sit there and whisk and slowly drizzle your oil in.
Yeah, because it's like eggs and oil, right?
Yeah, eggs, oil. This one will have, we got a bit of salt, some garlic cloves. I have 1 egg in there, about... maybe like 175 milliliters of oil.
Yeah, we use sunflower oil, that healthy oil.
So this is what's really interesting about this is like, because the egg and everything else has a different density level than your oil, the oil is actually going to sit on top. So this is going to make sure that when you're emulsifying it, it's kind of going in very slowly. So you'll see here. So we're going to get it started. And then I'm going to turn it up.
Nice.
So you can already see here, right? So I haven't moved it.
Sick.
Right?
You know what's funny is I've had one of these things in my kitchen before and I never really knew how to use it.
I mean, it's great for like soups and stuff as well. You know, if you're making like a tomato bisque or anything like that, it really helps with...
Just casual, making a tomato bisque.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
So you can see the majority of it is already nice and mixed.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna lift it up and really get everything going.
Dope. So what would you say characterizes this mayo sauce versus just using something from the grocery store?
It tastes a lot better. I don't know how to explain it.
Like fresh,
sometimes it's fresh. You can also control what goes into it, which is why it's one of those things that I really enjoy making from scratch. So
I'll be your catcher of the dribblings to the sink.
Well, this is what we always got to do, right? If you're making something fresh,
you got to taste it.
You got to taste it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This one, I would say we're going to add
more salt.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah. There we go. Authentic, fresh
But
mayo.
you can taste the difference between that and store-bought already. You know what I mean?
Fully,
right?
yeah.
So we're going to go with a nice pinch.
What is like I guess the history of the banh mi and because it's a Vietnamese sandwich.
It is a Vietnamese sandwich. It was also kind of, it was a big part of the French colonization of Vietnam.
Right.
Right?
That's the baguette.
Exactly. So it's the French baguette where we got the idea of banh mi from. But the difference is that Vietnamese will use rice flour as well as all-purpose. So
in a baguette.
In a baguette, exactly.
Oh, what?
So that's how you get that chew. Like like when you get like French baguette, it's like super like it's crunchy on the outside.
Yes.
But then with the Vietnamese banh mi, it's more of a chew. You can still get that crust obviously when you toast it and everything, but it adds a little bit more fluffiness to it.
Yo.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Do you remember the first time you ever had a banh mi sandwich?
Oh no. That was so long ago, and honestly, it was it was a regular part of me growing up, right? Like it wasn't this like special thing because especially when I was growing up, sorry, use a different finger.
Might have used the same finger.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's good.
So yeah, we'll do that. Actually, you know what? I'm making this too hard on myself.
We're just here for the drama. We're here for this live stream hits and the drama. There we go.
Knock it out the park, baby.
Okay, so we've made our mayo.
So we made our mayo. Now, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. I'm going to make a cilantro mayo. So what I have here, actually, I'm probably just going to rinse that off. I'm going to need it again. I got cilantro, jalapenos. Shallots in here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of soy sauce. So I'm not going to use all of this just because I don't need to.
Yum.
Let's go a little bit more of that. Because why not? We out here. Nobody wants a bland mayo.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're saying you've been eating banh mi since you were a kid. It was so part of your childhood growing up.
Yeah, and especially like my family grew up, not the wealthiest family. And banh mi is when I was growing up. You can get a banh mi for like $3.
Yo.
You know what I mean?
$2.75.
Yeah, exactly.
I was reflecting on this on like the first time I ever tried a Viet. We call them Viet sandwiches, banh mi.
Yeah, Viet subs.
Viet sub, exactly.
subs.
But growing up in East Van, I went to high school in Windermere, and it was a lot of Viet kids, Chinese kids, Filipino kids, and there was a market called Chongling Market that was right beside our high school.
Okay.
And that, it was an Asian grocery store, so it sold everything. But then it also had a banh mi sandwich deli spot. And you could order them fresh. And I remember it would come with cut in half, the wax paper, the rubber band around the wax paper.
Yeah.
And it was $2.75. And the kids at school we always walked over there and we ate that. It was delicious. That would have been my first time. Yes, please. Whoa, I want that on everything. Well, actually, though, that's so good. I really taste the cilantro and the onion.
Yeah.
It's not super spicy. Did you put jalapeno?
Yeah, there's a little bit of jalapeno, just to add a little bit of bite, right? It's going to cut through the richness of the mayo.
Yeah, there you go. Have a look at that.
Right? But yeah, that's it. That's a homemade cilantro soy mayo.
Yum.
And look how long that took.
2 seconds.
2 seconds. If you got everything prepped, and that's one of the big things that I learned, like being a chef or being in the kitchen. Like the majority of my professional career has been working in restaurants. I've done everything from dishwasher to head chef. I've served, I've bartended, I've done all that stuff. I love food. I love food. I love being in the environment, and so it's things that you learn when you have everything, which you call mise en place. We call it
everything in its place.
Everything in its place. So you have everything ready.
That's
right?
French, by the way. Mise en place.
France.
Okay. The chicken?
Yeah.
Is it time for chicken?
It's time for chicken. So this is gonna go super quick.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do here, we're gonna
just
take.
grab this real quick.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna take our banh mi's that we had. We're gonna toss them to the oven that's been preheating for the last little bit.
Where did we get the bread? How do we know it's the right kind of bread?
We got it from a actual Vietnamese bakery.
That's right.
So you want to make sure that you're getting good bread. I mean, if you don't have the, what's the word? Like if you don't have the availability of a Vietnamese bakery near you, you can always use a French baguette.
Right.
Right? People use ciabatta buns. Ciabatta is a little bit closer to this, so like if you just feel that. Like,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of ciabatta-ish.
I thought ciabatta is more dense, though.
Yeah, the inside is definitely a lot more dense. But this, you can get similar results.
Oh my gosh, my mouth's already watering. Okay, can we talk about what happened in the marination station?
Of course. So this is dark meat for chicken. So we use drumsticks. It's soy sauce, fish sauce, lemon juice, or you can use lime juice, and chopped lemongrass and salt, sugar as well. Sorry.
So if I was a vegetarian, I could replace everything you said, but with tofu? Or not everything.
Tofu.
Use tofu instead of chicken.
Yeah. So you can actually just use extra firm tofu, cut them into cubes, or you can actually do like the tofu steaks, and then just let them marinate. And that's actually a popular substitution as well. You can use any meat alternative as well, and it'll come out the same. That marinade is just like, it's good on everything.
Yeah. Okay, let's cook it. I'm like, seriously.
Enough talking.
Yeah.
Enough talking.
Having a
Let's
late
get to
lunch here
cooking.
at 2 o'clock.
This is breakfast for me.
Oh, man.
Actually, my breakfast was a yerba.
Okay, well, we definitely
yerba
need to
mate.
cook this. You're like jacked up off yerba mate right now.
Let's go. Yeah.
Oil. Here we go.
Yeah, use a touch.
Who taught you how to cook?
Who taught me how to? Oh, you know what? My mom was a chef for a very long time.
Really? Like at a restaurant?
No, at an Italian restaurant.
Oh, snap.
So I grew up in an Italian restaurant. After school, my mom would pick me up and I'd go and just chill at the restaurant while she was working. Like my mom raised 4 kids by herself. And so
Shout outs Ma Dukes.
mom's is a warrior. Like, you know, like she went through a lot. Like she actually left Vietnam during the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And so
That would have been the 70s.
that was the 70s, yeah. And her and my pops, they left during the war. Took some years to get to Canada. And then when they got here, that's when I was born.
And that's Edmonton, right?
And that's Edmonton, yeah. And yeah, so growing up, it was just like, I used to just go to the restaurant with her and just like watch her work while I did my schoolwork. And so it was like, the passion for cooking definitely came from that. But she was also like, even though she was working all the time, like she made sure that there was always like food on our table and stuff like that. Like there was like, yeah, I've had my fair share of like fast food and like pizza pops and, you know, like the microwavable dinners and stuff like that.
Growing up in the 90s?
Yeah, exactly.
Pizza pops were essential.
And so, but like, even when I got older and I wasn't always going to the restaurant with her, like she'd come home, whip up a meal, and then head back to work. Like she was working doubles, like day in, day out. Like I'm pretty sure at one point, like she was holding down 3 jobs, like supporting all the kids and stuff like that.
Wow.
And, like, so a lot of the work ethic that I have definitely comes from mom, and I'm very grateful for that.
I mean, bro, that makes sense. Like, you're always like either coming from work at the kitchen to then a DJ gig to then another DJ gig, you know, to doing a Twitch stream or your radio show. Like, I get it.
It's, you know, like, I was taught at a young age to just do the things that you're passionate about, right? You know, you got to make sacrifices somewhere. And so whether it's going to be, you know, it could be your social life. It could be the amount of sleep that you get. It could be financial, anything like that. So like there's just different things that you have to like look at and think about what you're willing to prioritize and what you're willing to sacrifice. At least to me anyways. So
well, here's the question. So mom did it at that time out of survival, out of wanting to raise her kids, you know. For you to work this hard now as a result of like it being ingrained from how you grew up, what is it that you're doing it for? Why are you working this hard?
I would love to make my passions my full-time work. You know what I mean? So like I love learning. I love experiencing new things, and for the most part, I will like never say no to an opportunity. So somebody presents me with something that sounds remotely interesting to me, I'll be like, sure, you know, because you just never know what type of experience or knowledge that you'll gain from that moment, or from the time that you work with somebody new, or the opportunity of doing something different. But like the end goal for me is to like be able to take care of my family, like, and I mean like I have a niece, I have nephews. I want to be able to like, you know, get to a point in my life where my mom is like retired, but she can also go and do whatever the heck she wants. So it's like she wants to go back to Vietnam and visit the family. Like if I could get to a point where she just like messages me, calls me or whatever, and she's just like, hey, so like I'm thinking about going back to Vietnam, and I'll be like, cool, I'll buy you a ticket. Like I want to do that. I want to be able to like not have to worry about that. But like I want to do that for like my whole family, you know. Coming from an immigrant family that was like fairly poor, I'm trying to create generational wealth, you know, especially for like it's not an easy thing to do. Like I was never taught about like saving money and
financial
like
literacy,
you know,
yeah.
it's not like schools didn't teach me that.
Whack!
It took, yeah.
Whack! Calling you out.
So it was like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, it took like my friends who knew about it, like their parents were telling them about financial, investing, saving, stuff like that. Cause I like, I would, you know, when I was young, like when I was dancing and things like that, I'd make money and then I'm just like, yeah, like
new sneakers,
new clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, we going to the club,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, buying drinks for all the homies. Like I still am,
Yeah.
but before I was like
reckless
with like
I hear
being
you.
like generous,
Yeah.
you know.
Now
I
you
was
have
like,
a generosity budget.
exactly.
You're like, okay, I know I can spend this much at the club tonight.
Exactly. But like even then, like my lifestyle's changed. Like as I got older, I was just like, you know, I don't have a need to like be going out every weekend. Even like my mentality of going out and partying, like I'm not a partier. I'm not a party goer. I don't really drink. Like like I have 1 or 2 drinks in like a month, you know, or 2 months or something like that. Like it has to be a special occasion for me to feel like it's worth it.
Respect. I hear you on that, and I feel you on that. I feel like I share the same kind of dreams and goals as well.
Yeah.
Because like my parents have been in Canada for more than 20 years and have worked their entire lives, built things, and have things for me and my brothers to inherit one day. And the worst would be that like I wouldn't know what to do with it once I receive it. And all of that stuff, like especially when you say generational wealth, because I don't want to lose that in one generation if I wasn't equipped properly, you know. And same like you, unfortunately my parents didn't and couldn't teach me those things because their mentality very much so is still about like survival, you know. But that's where like resources of friends and being resourceful in oneself to teach ourselves these things.
Exactly. Yeah. So like it's such an interesting thing because like I have a lot of friends who I am still in touch with, and we've known each other since we're like 4 or 5 years old. But each of our families were like very different, you know, like having like a 2-income household, having both parents, you know, some families are broken, so, you know, things like that. And so it was never about, you know, when you're young, you're not worried about money. You're not worried about bills. You're not worried about,
you don't even know what things cost.
Exactly.
You didn't know you have to pay for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you grow up and then like you have friends who, like for myself, I have friends who are like, we're, you know, maybe a year or two apart, and like they own a house, they have a brand new car, and like all these things, and I'm like out here and I'm like, do I got money for rent? Like, you know, they can go on these trips and everything like that, and I'm out here like saving. Like I got a budget for every trip, and then every time I come back and I'm like, all right, I'm not going out, I can't eat out, I can't, like, you know, like I gotta make sure that I'm like I really gotta like scrounge and scrape. So I'm trying to get to a point now where I'm like, I don't worry about that, right? So
Say word.
yeah.
I would love to ask you about DJing. How did you get into music and DJing?
So,
and also because I know you've been connected to the street dance community as well. Did that come first?
So I've always wanted to be a DJ since I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. There was something about watching music videos and movies and like seeing a DJ, like, you know, like pre-YouTube.
Yeah, we're talking watching Much Music.
Exactly, yeah. So like, and like watching movies, and then where like a DJ would play a certain song and everyone's just like, oh, and like, I wanted to like provide that feeling. I wanted to be the party rocker in that sense, where I was just like, I just want people to have fun. You know what I mean? And so, growing up, I realized that my family couldn't afford getting me turntables. So I was like, I remember one day at school when I had like a computer lab, you know, and like they're like, hey, you have 15 minutes free time, you can like do whatever you want and stuff like that. Some kids are like playing video games like on the school laptops and stuff like that. And then there's me building a wish list of DJ gear. So I'm looking up like turntables and a mixer and needles and...
What was on this wish list?
It was Technics 1200s.
Classic.
You know? The mixer was, I'm pretty sure it was like one of Pioneer's like older ones. And then, yeah, like it was just enough to have something to play records, right? And then I remember at the time I was like, oh, definitely got money for this. And like I printed it out and everything, and I was gonna show my mom's.
Aww.
And then I like saw the price because I like tallied up the total.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
couple stacks, couple $1,000.
Probably like 3 at the time, 4, because this is before everything was like as available as it is now. You know what I mean? Like.
But I think Techniques are still pretty expensive.
Oh yeah, one
like,
turntable in like
$1,500
in used like. Okay, like not even mint condition, will still run you about like $800-900 per like per turntable. So it's they're not cheap, but I was like, oh, you know what? Like, what is the way that I can be involved with music, but it be inexpensive?
Right.
And so.
So you made your wish list.
I started dancing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was through dance that I met Matthew Wood, aka Creation.
Yeah, our homie.
That's my brother right there. My brother
so
from
breaking.
Breaking.
Okay.
Popping mainly, actually, and then so he took me under his wing. After I actually started my own crew with another homie, Sean Arcetta, aka for Rush, B-Boy for Rush. Because we were just some kids who wanted to learn how to dance. And then other kids heard that we were doing this at like a local rec center. And then that group became a crew. You smell that lemongrass though?
I do. I've been smelling it and I'm just like, when is it good enough that I can taste it? Cooked enough through.
because I don't want to burn the sugars because there's sugar in the marinade.
Got it.
So I'm trying to let it go a little bit lower and slower at the beginning, and then now I've turned it up, so now it's
so that it can
some
crisp
color.
up because
Yeah,
then you had
exactly.
the liquid part evaporate.
Exactly. So we got this turned up a little bit. You
Yum.
Just let that go. But yeah, so it was after I was dancing with Creation that I had a friend get a hold of me, and he was like, hey, I'm moving, and I was wondering if you're still interested in DJing. So it's actually one of my brother's friends. And he remembered, because he's been a part of like the friend group for a long time, that he remembered that when I was little, like he was like, you were always talking about being a DJ, and like, because I used to like burn CDs and make mixtapes type stuff, you know what I mean? Like I had cassette tapes that I would record songs off of the radio, and like, you know, like that.
I literally had the sound of what it is to burn a CD just like pop into my brain just now. I was like, okay, 20 minutes waiting.
Yeah. And so it's like, I used to do all that, and then so he got a hold of me and was just like, yeah, I'm moving. I found my old turntables. You want them? What? And I was like, really? He's
like for free?
Yeah.
That's the blessing.
And so at this time I was probably like 19, I think. Yeah, it must have been like 19. So I got off the phone and I looked at Cree, because me and him were on tour at the time. And he was like,
touring.
We were doing street performing festivals. And so we were doing Alberta and Saskatchewan every summer. And I did that with him for like 10 years.
Cool.
Yeah, so like every summer. So it's like, if I got a new job, they'd be like, oh, you know, like, you planning on taking vacation in the next 6 months? And I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
But I need a month off in July. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to go dance in the street for money.
I'm a street dancer.
I'm a street dancer. Yeah.
So was Cree already doing music and DJing at that time?
Oh, yeah. Cree's been like an OG in this. I know he doesn't like me calling him an OG because it makes him sound old.
Face it. Uncle status in the scene now, okay? Sidebar, big shout outs to Cree, because he is the reason how you and I even met.
Yep.
Earlier this year, I forgot to mention this earlier, but in February, we threw an event called Deep from the Underground, and it was a DJ battle for this one that happened.
Sorry.
We're just gonna hide that.
That's my bad.
Okay, full pause on the story, because now I forgot what I was even talking about. Here we go. Lemongrass chicken about to go down. I should have blown on that first. Wow. You didn't even marinate that for that long.
No.
The flavors are so in there.
Yeah.
Mmm.
So I got the heat off now.
I'm just gonna do another.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Double check, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one was a trial. This is the real one now.
I need to grab the serrated knife.
A serrated knife is in here.
But yeah. So.
Oh wait, no. I was talking about
how I get started.
No.
Oh no, you're talking about Cree.
I was talking about Cree.
Yeah.
So we had this DJ battle, and Cree was on the bill, and I was like, Creation and his surprise squad. And I didn't know who he was going to bring. He didn't tell me. And I say, you can bring anybody, dancers, DJs, MCs, whatever. And you're going head to head with Ladies First DJ Club from Table Tutors. Shout outs. They were awesome. They also actually won. Sorry. But my point is, Cree shows up with this guy. And I was like, who are you? I've never seen you before in my life. And you guys threw down. It was so fun. The music was lit. And then that kind of just began our friendship.
That was it.
That was that.
That was the kickoff. Yeah, so I remember I got off the phone after my brother's friend calling me, telling me he had turntables. And he was like, get off the phone and I look at Korea and I'm like, I'm getting turntables. And he's like, word? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, all right, cool. Tomorrow, since we got the day off from the tour, like we're back in Edmonton at this time, he's like, you're coming over. And I'm like, okay. He's like, we're getting started. We're getting started with boot camp.
Boot camp, this guy.
I was like, damn, okay. So
Yeah.
what we did was like, I get to his place. He has his turntable set up. He's like, go ahead. This is what we're going to do. And he taught me how to beat match, but also beat juggle.
Mm-hmm. For anyone, all the moms on TELUS Optic TV, what's beat juggle?
So we would line up 2 of the same songs, and then we'd play the song on one side, and on the other side, we'd have it lined up. And so, you're counting music. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to make it seem like an infinite loop. Mm-hmm. So that we go back to the first turntable, which has the same song, rewind it to the same spot, and then count. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you keep going. And you sit there. And then you just have to keep going. And then I did that for 3 hours.
Yes! I mean, that's the way you got to drill it in.
100%. 100%. And like, I remember I was like, he literally sat on his bed behind me, and he's just like on his phone, and I can hear him typing, like just doing rounds, like he's like, and then every time I would do one, he'd just be like, early, late, early.
Oh, he was that guy.
Yeah.
He was that mentor.
Yeah. Not even watching me, just listening,
could hear
right?
it.
That's all he needed. And then I was just like, man, and he'd be like, yeah, that was good. Oh, okay, yeah, that was all right.
Aww.
Early. Like, it didn't, but like when I was getting it to the point where it's like I got, 5 goods in a row, I just like stopped and I was like, cool. And he's like, what are you doing, B? And I was like, you just gave me like 5, 6 goods in a row. Like, he's like, nah, now change the song. So I was like, oh, okay.
It's like you got used to that song. Now you have to do it to another
Exactly.
song.
Different tempos and things like that, right? But the thing was, he didn't let me just change the song because I went and just changed the song. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, you said change the song. Yeah. He was like, no, beat match into another song and then double up on that one and then do it again.
That was a good coach.
And I was just like, oh, all right, okay. So I was like, play the first one, get another one loaded up, beat match it through the headphones, all that stuff. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then switch it over, double up on and do it all over again. And then when I got used to doing 2 counts of 4, then it was 1 count of 4. And then it was 2 counts. Then it was 1. So now it's going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. What? And just trying to do it as much as I could. Obviously, I wasn't going to get it in 3 hours.
I love that you used these elements as if they were the turntables.
Cook beats, cook eats.
That is called the art of turntablism, everybody, from Gen Z. Okay, can we make these? Because I'm so hungry now.
Let's go.
What happens next?
So we're going to cut open our banh mi. Let's go this way.
Oh, I hear the crisp already.
Yep.
That's when you know it's real. It's got to have that crisp.
Right, so you're going to make sure that when you're getting this,
oh yeah,
it's going to come.
Get in there, Jamor. Look at that.
Right.
Fluff. Oh, snap.
Yeah, right. But it's still warm on the inside. It's not just.
I have plates here too.
Perfect. Even just that sound is making me more hungry because I know what's coming.
Oh my gosh, the anticipation right now for me is so real. Okay, so what's that? We got some butter.
This is Vietnamese butter.
Okay.
Let's see, this is a little bit. So we're gonna go butter on the bottom.
Yeah, maybe tilt it towards the camera. People like the details.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm not used to being a TV chef.
Well, you should get used to it because I can see this as a lucrative career for you, bruv. We're gonna start a whole new YouTube channel.
This one's a little flimsy. Yeah.
So, out of the stuff that your mom would cook you, what was your favorite?
Oh my gosh, that changes for me all the time. To be honest, Oh my
We
gosh.
can put it on the plate too if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. So, I'll do this one.
I'm already opening this. Do you want me to help you butter on that side, or that's for the
that's
mayo?
good. That's gonna be the mayo.
Oh.
You know what? This is what we'll do. We're gonna go. We're just gonna go chicken.
Oh, I'm so excited to eat. Yeah, this is my usual. I'm really grateful that you wanted to make lemongrass chicken because that's usually my go-to when I order it.
It's a good
Or
one.
I go classic
Or you
with
go
the cold
classic
cut.
with
Cold
the cold
cuts.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the meatball subs, the Vietnamese meatball subs, which they actually just usually use like siu mai. Yeah.
What do you mean siu mai? Like the
dim
meat
sum?
from the dim sum?
Yeah. Some places just straight up use siu mai.
But okay, but what's the sauce? Like, would it be in a tomato sauce?
No, they'll just like some places will just straight up like
Here, I'll spot you.
just heat it and then just smush it up into the bun.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's nothing like crazy, but it's like having the mayo and the pickled veg and all that stuff, like that makes it fire.
What is your favorite banh mi flavor?
Oh,
I'll help you here.
that's low key, that's a tough one.
Right? Okay, you're allowed to choose two.
Lemongrass chicken is definitely one of them, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to go with the siu mai.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's just, I don't know, it's something about it. Like it's always like juicy. You know what? No, I might have to go with the Vietnamese bacon. So it's like,
What's that?
it's called I'm probably gonna butcher this pronunciation. So, but ba roi, and it's just fatty pork belly. It's just good.
I made a porchetta's pork belly, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I made a porchetta roast
Okay.
on Friday because I'm addicted to Instapot.
Yeah. That's
That stuff cooks things in half the time.
Trust me, I am a sucker.
Yeah, so good. And I made that and then I popped it in the oven for a roast for our good friend Nancy, who was also on the show, season 1. It was their 35th birthday and they had a B-Day roast. And so I was like, I don't know how good my roast will be, so I'm going to cook a roast. And that turned out delicious.
I bet.
It was
Honestly,
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, pressure cooker is like.
Okay, what now?
We're gonna get some veg on there. Yeah. So
Maybe this fork?
this one. But yeah, so it's like this is just one of those things. It's comfort. You know what I mean?
So what do we got going on here?
So this here is a pickled daikon and carrot. I actually got this. Like, if you go to most Asian markets, you can get this done.
Right.
Or they'll already have it done.
But
So it's
if you were
vinegar,
to make it, okay, yeah.
vinegar, sugar, salt. This one has some Thai chilies in there,
Oh yeah.
so you can add a little bit of a bite to it, which I love.
Oh my gosh. Hey, did you ever used to watch Emeril Lagasse on Food TV? Do you know who I'm talking about? Bam!
Yeah.
This is what I want to do with the whole thing right now.
That's all I did when I first got cable. When my family first got cable,
Yeah.
if I was watching TV, it was either gonna be cartoons
Or Emeril Lagasse.
or the Food Network.
Yeah.
Like,
He was my favorite
good
show, though. I
you're
don't.
good with heat, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You know what's funny is, so in a lot of Filipino cooking, there's not a lot of like spice. We lean towards vinegary, fishy, soy saucy, sweet type of flavors. But then I participated in what I call the Man's Not Hot challenge.
The man's not hot.
And I didn't think I would do well in this challenge at all because I was convinced that I couldn't handle spice. But it's not that, it's more about like I can't eat a lot of spice, but I can handle very, very spicy things.
Yeah.
Because from that Man's Not Hot challenge, which it also happened with Emotions, another guest on our season 1 show, it was more about understanding the human body's reactions to extreme spice and heat. Like, I didn't know that you could cry underneath your eyeballs, and I didn't know that your whole tongue could salivate just like pure liquid, or that you could very briefly lose your vision.
Yeah.
Someone did. He was just like, I have to sit down. I can't sit. I'm like, oh my gosh, stay away from the, what was it? It was King Scorpion, which hot sauce, Jamaican hot sauce, which has like ghost chili peppers. Anyways, for me, however, my turnaround time was quite quick. And I was like, I can actually handle spice. This is amazing. Okay, so we've got some soy sauce on there.
So we had some soy sauce on there. I was using the fork because I didn't want to.
It's fine. It's all good. Okay. How about cilantro? Should we put some? We can sprinkle some from there. Some people think cilantro tastes like soap. You're either a cilantro person or you're not.
I am a huge cilantro
I'm a cilantro person. Right. I think, but you know, I think that came with age and maturity.
Oh no, I've always loved cilantro, especially eating banh mi as much as I did growing up. You know, like some places, they just leave the whole stalk in there.
Yeah.
So you take that first bite, you just pull out.
Yeah, that's
and then you
exactly
just you're sitting there like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Chomping on the rest of the cilantro.
You're just waiting. They're like, hey, let me just finish up the cilantro and not have any in my banh mi for the time being.
Yum.
You want to cut it up?
I just. Pure sound effects.
Let me show you that.
Cross section? Right into the camera. Okay, so like I'm just not even gonna wait to sit down. I'm just.
You're going here.
We're going.
Right.
You on that half too.
Right.
We're just gonna do that. Cheers! Thank you for being on the show and making these. Thank you for having me. Okay, let's do this.
I'm a little worried what the face means. Oh, like
the face was allowing all the flavors to. That's my description. It's good. The chicken is flavorful. It's soft. It's tender. I'm still surprised you didn't marinate it for that long, yet it could hold all of that juiciness. I don't know.
You taste that mayo?
I taste the mayo.
Yeah.
I taste the cilantro.
Yeah.
The pickled veg. I think that was the thing that surprised me the most when I first started eating banh mi sandwiches, was like how this contrast of the pickled veg.
I'll show you.
It's delicious. And then you get the heat from the fresh jalapenos.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal looking jealous on the other side right now.
Let me cut this one up too.
Yeah, that's good.
Hit me up for all your banh mi needs. Big Poppa Pump banh mi is coming soon.
You wanted to do a different flavor, like one with pork as well, crispy pork, right?
I wanted to do the crispy pork belly banh mi's, which is like my favorite when I'm in Vietnam. So that's like easily my go-to every time I go to a spot, and they're like, which one do you want? I'm like, because like you can get they'll just like, it's like the Chinese style, like, or like lechon, right?
Yeah,
and
like
so,
a roasted.
Yeah, and then theirs is like, it's super simple. It's gonna be your Vietnamese butter, your pickled veg, soy sauce, your pork belly, and pate, right? So it's just like rich, unctuous pate with like the fatty pork, and then you get like your soy, and you get your pickled veg, your cucumber. Oh, that's what we forgot. We should put
Oh, the cucumber.
You don't need cucumbers. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
This chicken and the crunch from the bread is
the
perfect.
bread, yeah, and then pickled veg. Just kind of use the acidity to kind of cut through the butter and the mayo.
Pass the mayo, fam. We're just...
Go for it.
I just call myself saucy and I'm bossy.
Saucy.
I'm saucy and I'm bossy, and I'm that type of person who like always asks for the extra sauce. Mm-hmm. You know, like as a kid when you're at McDonald's, you're like, "Can I get a few extra McChicken sauces, please?" Like,
Yo, I still do that.
yeah, duh. They never put enough, but it's better than putting too much, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's dangerous.
I'm just thinking about what else do I want that on.
Everything.
Suggestions, please.
I feel like this would actually be
Like on beef.
beef.
On
I
tofu?
would probably put more lemon juice into it.
Why? Like the acidity
I like
does something?
I like the tang when it comes. I like really cutting it with when it comes to beef. Just like it balances it out instead of it's just like straight up like beef flavor. And then because like beef is one of those meats that are like it's got its own flavor, and then you got this. It's gonna be a lot of rich. I like to balance as much as I can. So like the chicken, it's a very light protein. You know what I mean? Like it's not a heavy flavor. But
But it holds flavor well.
it holds well. Yeah, it's a great vehicle to like transfer. But
Oh, this is so giving me life right now. I really was trying to hold it together, not gonna lie.
I love it. I love it. That's that's one of the reasons why I love cooking. I love cooking for other people because like I think like you know people talk about like love languages and stuff all the time. This is how I show my love for people. Like I love cooking for people. Like I wish I had a space like in Vancouver. Like I wish my space was a little bit more guest friendly. You know what I mean? So
Well, it's gonna happen one day.
one day I'm working on it. It's going to. I know it is. But yeah,
Wow. Thank you, Jeff.
no problem.
Okay. Should we sit a little bit, I think?
Yeah.
Sit.
Yeah.
And actually eat this. This is coming. This is coming along with.
I mean, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That's a great condiment. Great condiment to have.
And now we're walking.
Now we're walking.
Some new camera movements we're testing out here on this live stream. So you were, okay. What were we even talking about before this?
I don't remember.
We were talking about DJing journey, getting into music.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of my journey. Was like being linked up with Creation already at the moment. And I remember he would actually like sneak me onto bills that he was playing on, and he'd just be like, "Yo, bring your stuff, bring your laptop. You're gonna play tonight." And I was like, "Oh, does like so and so know?" He's like, "No, doesn't matter. They're gonna find out." I'm just like, "Aren't you gonna get in trouble?" He's just like, "I don't care." He's like, "People need to see what we're doing." And I was just like, "All right, let's get it." And so I'd show up, and then like Cree would be playing, and then he'd be like, "All right, set up." And so like, whoever the promoter or whatever, it was just like when they weren't around, set up laptop, plug in, and then start playing. Like as soon as I was set up, there was no like Cree would be like, "Oh yeah, give me 2 songs." Like no, Cree's like he wanted to get me on right away, and that was like the beginning. And I was also helping out with his weekly block party, Cypher Wild.
Right.
So
This was when?
this would have been like 2011,
Okay. So then at what point did you actually move to Vancouver?
2018, end of 2018. I just in August I hit my 5-year in Vancouver. So the DJing journey here was definitely very different. I got introduced to DJ Cookham.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I really would love to have Kokum on the show, actually.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure, but she's also mad
busy.
Yeah, mad busy.
Continue.
Linked up with DJ Kokum. She invited me out to one of her nights that she had, and then it was just kind of. It was funny because it was on the she invited me like a week before, and then the day of, I was already heading to the show, like to her gig, and she texts me. She's like, "Hey, do you have your gear with you?" And I was like, yeah. She's like, cool, do you want to play? And I was like, sure. She's like, yeah, like, just whenever you get here, you can, like, get set up, blah, blah, blah.
How did you know each other from before?
We didn't.
Oh.
Cree introduced us. Cree, when I moved out here, Cree gave my information to 2 people. One person didn't reach out to me at all, so I won't bother saying anything.
Yeah.
But Kokum actually, like, reached out to me. It was just like, hey, got your contact from Cree. It's like, would love to link up, connect, see what's good. So I was like, okay, cool. And then, yeah, so I went, played. She already had a guest, too. So when I did my set, I remember, like, the layout was, like, we weren't on a stage. It was kind of awkward because, like, we were at the edge of the dance floor, but, like, the other, like, what was the venue? The one that's underneath,
East Van? Downtown?
East Van, Kingsway and
Biltmore.
Biltmore, yeah.
I know Biltmore.
So we weren't on the stage, like we were on the dance floor, like the other edge of the dance floor, like by the sound booth, like where it is now. And so I was like, okay, whatever. So like I had everything going, start playing. Kokum has her crew there, and everyone's enjoying themselves. They have their table, and I'm there by myself. I just moved to Vancouver. I don't have friends here. So it's like, so I was playing, and then I remember just like people from the table would like come up. They'd be like, yo, this is crazy. Because I was playing like edits and remixes, like, you know, the stuff that I really enjoy. Like, so being able to interweave between like mainstream and then playing like edits of like songs that you haven't heard in years, right? So, and then people were like, yo, like this is nuts. Like, this is different.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what me, Cree, and our buddy Shane, so like we're a crew called the Wizards. Yeah, so like that's what we like pride ourselves on, is like being able to play new music and like playing music in ways that you never hear. Or like being able to like integrate genres that you probably would never think of, right? So it's like,
which is definitely a characteristic I know about you, because since I met you, like that is the effect. The effect is people being like, "Oh, what?" And especially those who understand and hear what's going on. For you know, the normal everyday civilian, it's just like, whatever, I'm dancing, right?
Yeah.
But for the heads, they're like losing it, or they're like, I'm about to leave the party, and then they can't, and then they have to take off their jackets and stay. That has happened to me several times.
That's one of my favorite things. I love that. Like, I remember I played a gig, and there was the last table. We were supposed to close like half an hour ago, but the owner was like, you can just, like, if they're vibing out, you can keep playing. And I was having such a good time playing for this table that they had their jackets on for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and they were trying to leave, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna play banger after banger so you guys cannot leave. And I didn't know them. They were just...
That was the assignment. You're like, I'm not gonna let you leave.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I wonder how long I can keep this table here for. That was honestly like my thought process to myself. And I have a video of it on my phone of the very last song that I played. And it got to the point where like one or two of the guys like stood up on the chairs inside of this pub.
Yeah.
And they're like,
one of those.
One of those. Rapping, singing along to the song. And then like after it like dies down, they're like, okay, we gotta go. DJ, we gotta leave. And I was just like, all right, cool, last song. This is it. They're like, okay. And they're like sweating. It's like dead of winter. Like, it was just so fun. So it's having that effect. I love, you know, like if you come to an event that I'm playing at and you hear a song, or like you remember the vibe months down the road, years down the road, like I love hearing about those things. So being able to like witness it and like, you know, like, because for me, some of the best moments are like hearing someone play, and then it's like, a song that I never, or a song that I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
And it just like
Reinterpreted in a new way.
exactly. And it
So
makes
is this how we got the name Papa Pump? Because you pump it up.
No, actually, it's an old wrestling thing. Yeah.
Ooh, what?
So in the like late '90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
there's a wrestler named Scott Steiner,
Okay.
and he was just like this, like, you know, for the early 2000s, like having crazy amount of muscle, and he had like bleach blonde hair and like, but like a black goatee, always wore sunglasses, and he was just like called himself the genetic freak because like his muscles had muscles, you know, like he, like I'm telling you, like y'all look up a photo of Scott Steiner.
So then,
His nickname is Big Poppa Pump.
okay.
And so whenever I was with Cree and I would do like something new that he hadn't heard from me before, he'd be like, "Okay, I see you, like you flexing on us, okay." And I turn around and I'd always be like, "Yeah." And then he'd be like, "Oh," he's like, "Who you think you are? You think you're Scott Steiner? Huh? You think you're Big Poppa Pump? Big Poppa Pump?" And I was just like, "Yes,
Actually,
I am Big Poppa Pump."
this is my new name.
Yeah, and he was just like, "Actually, you know what? Yeah,
Yeah.
you could be Big Poppa Pump." And then I was just like,
Amazing.
because I used to like people, a nickname that came out for me was the Big Unit.
Okay.
That actually came from somebody in Vancouver when I was traveling and like doing shows, like dancing. People started calling me the Big Unit, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool, Big Unit." And then I was like, people would be like Big Papa and stuff like that. And then
Yeah,
I was
like
Big
B.I.G.
Papa. Yeah, exactly.
Notorious
Yeah.
B.I.G. Well, what's cool is like, so ever since I had met you in February and saw you again, one of those moments where someone's like, "You got your gear, like come." Now you're on Cree's Surprise Squad to play this gig. Ever since then I just started seeing you DJing everywhere,
Yeah.
including Vancouver Street Dance Festival this year, and you know, coming from your dance dance background, also then like integrating with the dance community, and so like even this past weekend you DJ'd a locking battle,
Yeah.
which was super cool.
Yeah.
And like, how does it feel to now be integrating into Vancity and a lot of this all popping off this year?
It's honestly been great because I was really trying to find the community for myself that like where I felt like I belonged. Because I find it a little bit more difficult to integrate with other DJs here.
Why?
Because like those who are already established, they have their crew. And from my experience, having newcomers is like nobody really wants to put on the new guy, right? Even though I've been DJing for 12 years, but it's like bringing someone new into the squad. Like I find a lot of people are kind of like they'll be like, "I mess with you, I like what you're doing, but like
I don't want you to take my job."
I didn't say it."
Yeah.
Right? But I've been lucky enough where I have found some DJs who like I really connect with and I really enjoy and I appreciate so much because they find gigs or they introduce me to people and things like that. So like a few of those people that I could easily like name is Jay Diggs from Up Records. Shout out Up Records and Jay Diggs. Like first person that I headlined the show here with. And I was like, this is fantastic. Like, and then somebody that I met very recently, like last year, was Nina Mendoza.
Yeah.
And she's put me on. Like, I have the utmost appreciation for Nina.
Yeah.
She is always willing to like give me advice or like when we're out and she runs into people that she knows, she'll be like, "Oh, like, hey, this is Jeffrey. This is Big Poppa Pump. He's a DJ as well." And like, she, like, just having certain people, like, you know, it's not about having 100 connections. It's just having the few right ones. You know what I mean? So like, I went out to San Francisco and Oakland a few weeks ago to meet people on Twitch. So we never hung out, never met in real life. We watched each other's streams online, and that was it. But I was wearing Jay Diggs' shirt, his Up Records shirt. He just released it. And then people were like, I was walking around at some events, and they'd be like, "Yo, nice shirt." And I turn around, I'd be like, "Oh, word, yeah, like, this is, like, my homies." He's like, "Oh, you know Jay Diggs?" I was just like, "Yeah, like, Jake's my homie. Like, And then they're like, yo, like, I've released stuff through Up Records. So then now me and this person start connecting because of J Diggs without J Diggs even knowing or like introducing us. You know what I mean?
I love when that happens.
So it's just like, it's amazing because, yeah, but like being integrated into like the dance community, it kind of felt like it was like always meant, like it was meant to be.
Yes.
Because when I moved out here, I moved away from my crew back home. So I didn't have anyone to dance with, and I didn't feel the need or urgency to like look for anybody to dance with. I had like, actually, like I've thought to myself, I was like, that chapter of my life is closed. Like dancing, like training, and like wanting to do battles and all these things. I was like, I've closed that chapter. And a lot of people are like, no, like it can't happen. Like, no, you still gotta do. I was like, I still dance. But whether or not I'm gonna enter battles and train and like hit up sessions, like I don't feel the need to do that anymore. My main focus is DJing and playing music.
Yes. Which is so appreciated with the dance community because, you know, to DJ a battle is very specific, you know, and not everyone knows how to do it. And also to have the experience of being someone who has been on that battle floor or dance floor as well. It's so rare to come across. So I know for sure, like the dance community is really grateful and excited that you're here. And, you know, it's evident because of you getting this experience now of, I just looked down, I'm like covered in like
Crumbs.
Baguette crumbs, fam. Like what? I hope you didn't see that.
It is what it is. What happens when you eat these.
It is what it is. Yo, we're actually coming to the end of our time of our live stream. We only have an hour. But I did want to ask you a last question.
Okay.
Especially for those in Vancity who are craving the Banh Mi's.
Ooh.
The Banh Mi's. What 3 restos in the city would you recommend, like, nabbing one? And what specific flavors?
For Banh Mi?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I have some in my mind, but I'm curious to know what you've discovered that you're like, I rate their Banh Mi's.
First one that comes to mind for me is going to be a spot on Kingsway between Nanaimo and Victoria. Like, even smaller, like, it's called Ngong.
Okay.
So it's Ngon, and that means tasty or delicious in Vietnamese. But they're like a more modern take on it. So like instead of fresh peppers, they actually make a homemade hot sauce.
Oh wow.
Yeah, their lemongrass chicken, their sauteed beef, like all of it is fire. And they also do like sticky rice, like clay bowls and stuff like that there. So
yum.
it's fire.
That.
It's so good. That for me is my number one.
Okay.
A little bit on the pricier side.
Yeah.
It's a little bougie, but it's good. And I will easily pay it every single time. Next one for me, Banh Mi Saigon on Victoria and I want to say 38th.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's kind of close to the Value Village.
No. By the London Drugs.
Yeah, that is kind of close to the Value Village.
Value Village is
okay. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Like 10 blocks.
Okay, from there, what would you get?
From there, I would get the fatty pork belly I was talking about, the battle white, or their special, like the mix, the duck bait. That's with the cold cuts and all that stuff. But like you'll get, I think it's like $9, maybe $8. But the thing is like literally the size of my forearm. It's huge.
Yeah.
It is huge. Because like you go to other places and they'll come out like, it's like this, you know, $6-7. But you pay another like $1 or $2 and it's like.
Tears for the days of 275
dang,
Viet subs.
like big boys.
Yeah.
You know, you can get your Viet coffee there. If you get a Viet coffee from there, be careful. It's strong.
Yeah.
That is like.
Keep you up.
If you have that at like, you know, some people drink coffee all day, every day, like, you know, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. You have that at 2 p.m. Like for me, I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine. So like I have caffeine first thing in the morning and I'm good for the whole day.
Yeah.
If I have that at like noon, I'm up till like 6 in the morning the next day. Yeah. So.
Fair warning.
Yeah. Strong Viet
Last
coffee.
one.
Last one. I'd have to go with Didi Mao.
Okay.
I know it's not a Banh Mi shop.
Yeah. But the original was the Yaletown location.
Yeah. But like, yeah, their banh mi's are just fire. Especially if you go now, because I had something on Saturday, which is their
Tell the people.
Their beef short rib banh mi dip is is insane. It is so good. So it's just short rib sliced, and then you got black pepper, onion, some hot sauce, and then a fried egg and a banh mi, and it comes with a bowl of pho, like just a broth, and you dip it. So like now your bread's like soaked up all that sauce, and I was like, let me tell you, when Kim dropped off my plate, I was like, enjoy, I gotta go into the back real quick. I was like, okay, cool. The next moment she did her round, gone, and I'm sitting there just sipping on the broth.
Yeah.
She's like, what? You're done already? Yeah, like she's like,
That's
like
so funny.
scared. Like I inhaled it.
Oh my
I inhaled it. Even the manager, the floor manager, she saw me net. She like looked over like from like across the restaurant. She's like, "Are you done?" And I was just like,
Oh my God, we're going this week.
I'm telling you, you need to go because it's on their fresh sheet, so like it's one of their seasonal things.
Yeah.
I don't know when they're removing it. I'm trying to go ASAP too, just to get that banh mi. Like, call me. I'm telling you. But.
Okay, I took a pause on eating because I didn't want Jeff to talk, and then the other mic was just like.
That's why I was like holding on.
So we're gonna end this live stream so I can actually finish the sandwich. Thank you, Jeff, for coming through, being a guest, our first guest of season 2, for showing us and extending your cooking skills,
thank you.
For making this food, and for being who you are in the scene and in the community.
Thank you.
Actually, though, I feel like we should do this again. There were so many more questions I wanted to ask you.
Hit me up.
Yeah, we're going to cook something else. Anyways, thank you everybody who's tuned in to this live stream, everyone who's going to check out the replay afterwards, and all the people watching on TELUS Optic TV. This has been Vancity Beats, Eats, and More!